I got some messages from Facebook from UTME candidates asking me how they can prepare for the exam, for the UTME exam within this short period of time. And I like them, they were quite honest with me. They said they haven't really been studying well so far and they just want to start being serious or being aggressive with their studies now. So in this video, I'll be sharing with you how ways in which you can prepare yourself ahead for the exam within this approximately a month to the exam. Now, I think it's very important for you to know that you should be able to identify the level that you are in at this particular moment. Now, what I mean by that is the topics you've done, you've studied, and you are quite good at. The topics you are still struggling with. Now, if you are able to identify that, how many topics have you covered? How many topics can you actually do very well at this particular point? So that's the first step for you to actually know the level that you are at that moment. And then the next step is that you should be able to know how far you still need to go. Now, you can only know how far you need to go by setting the target. Let's assume that you have it in mind, okay, I want to have 350 now in this coming UTME. If the way someone planning to get 350 will study will be different from the way someone planning to get 250 will study. Although sometimes even someone studying aggressively, like trying to get 350, and someone trying to get 290, they might still get the same score. And that's probably because the person that is studying for 350 is probably getting a few things wrong. So the main point now is setting a target to more like give you a push to study harder, because you want to get high score. So, and there are a lot of people studying as well too. So in order for you to actually get high score, you have to read more, you have to practice more questions, and a lot of other things. So set a target. After setting a target, then know how far you need to move from where you are at this moment to hit that target. That's very important. And then another thing, since you've set the target now, and then you know how far you need to go for you to actually get your target score, what you need to do then is set a plan. Since I said before now that you've identified the topics that you are struggling with, you have identified the topics that you've covered and you are quite good with. Now make plans based on the topics that you are having issue with. Now take note, don't neglect the topics that you are very good at too, because if you leave the subject or the topics for a long period of time, you most likely be very bad at it. As if you are just a natural, you'll be bad at it. So it's very important that you make a plan. You make a plan based on the topics that you're having issues with, and then the topics that you are quite good at too. Now, but then you know that you're actually meant to prioritize the topics that you're having issues with, because the thing is, you're going to be asked 40 questions in both physics, chemistry, biology, maths, all of that, and then I think around 60 questions in English. Now, from that 40 questions, each question can come from any side. So you must try as much as possible not to leave any stone unturned, even though there are some topics that they will always repeat every year. So this is why I'm saying that you prioritize those important topics first as well when you're making your plans. If there's okay, this particular topic you have issues with it, you can't really solve questions on it very well, then you add it to your plan. Let's say between now and then the exam period, let's say you have 28 days now. How many topics do you still need to cover? Then you write all those topics down that you still need to cover, and then you find a way to actually slot in those topics into your timetable. And make sure that when you are making this plan, leave the last 2 days. Don't fix any topic to the last 2 days, because anything you learn a day before exam will most likely cause tension. Anything you learn a day before your exam will most likely cause tension. So it's better you don't study any new topic a day before your exam. So after you make that plan, add those topics. Then since you've made plans now, a lot of people make plans. They make plans and they don't follow it. So how do you make sure that you follow the plan? By removing all distractions. If you are the type that watch movies a lot, then you have to make sure that, okay, like me now, I watch series almost every day by downloading it. So the way you remove that distraction for me is you make sure that you don't have any data on your phone. If you don't have data, you won't be able to download any movie. So make sure that you remove Like, make sure that you remove all distractions. Now, for you, it might be something else. It might be probably WhatsApp. So that means it's the same thing. You have to stop making subscriptions to your phone so you'll be able to access the internet. Except if you are probably taking classes online. And if you are probably taking classes online too, you have to be honest with yourself, because that can actually give room for you to be distracted. So if you know that WhatsApp is distracting, even though you're having classes there, just ignore it. I remember when I was preparing for UTME, I think what actually changed my life, because I wrote UTME 2015, I had 229. I wrote 2016, I had 215 or 214. It was between 2016 and 2018 that everything changed. That when I wrote UTME in 2018, I had 302. And I realized that what actually made a large impact was the fact that I removed the distractions. I had phone then, but then I think what actually helped me was the fact that I was very, very determined. I had phone, I had subscription, but then I was always... Now, another way you can also remove distraction, if you know that at home, you don't really study well at home. Your bed will call you, and you want to watch movies and all. It's best for you to actually get a library ID card as well. Get a library ID card. Once you get a library ID card, once you know that you are already feeling tingling, distraction. Once you notice that you are feeling some distractions, just leave the house, go to the library. At least you can go to the library and go and be sleeping. Although some people do sleep at the library, but then that's not the point. But then, so far you are determined, you set a target, and I think it's very important that you actually know what is at stake. Know that there are a lot of applicants that are trying to gain admission into Nigerian university, a whole lot of them, and among them is just you, and you only have limited slots. So I think that is even enough motivation for you to actually even study very hard. So I think it's very important that you actually know what's at stake now, because if you don't write it, if you don't get enough high score, for most schools you have to get high score in your UTME and then your post-UTME. If you don't get high score in both, you have to wait a whole year, and then with the way ASU is, you will most likely miss a lot of opportunity. So I think it's very important for you to actually know what's at stake. Once you know what's at stake, and then that what's at stake will definitely push you. And I think it's very important for you to actually be disciplined too. Motivation is no longer working nowadays. It was then that it used to work. Now motivation is no longer working. So make sure that you are very disciplined as well too. Okay, as I was saying, you remove all distractions. Now after removing all distractions, I've suggested which you can remove distraction. You can remove distraction by going to the library, even in your house, making sure that you are not subscribed to. You don't have data subscription on your phone. Make sure that you're not subscribed at home. You don't have subscriptions on your DSTV, satellite dish, and all. So you most likely not be tempted to be binge watching movies the way I am now. So make sure that you remove all distractions. Now, after removing all distractions, as I said before, you focus more on the important topics. There are certain topics that are always repeated in all subjects. Now, for physics, now you can't expect them not to ask you motion. You can't expect them not to ask you physical quantities. You can't expect them not to ask you forces. You can't expect them not to ask you scalars and vectors. So you focus more on the important topics. Like, for example, now they actually ask magnetism, except if you are so unlucky that they now ask you close like 2 or 3 magnetism. But most likely, they always tend not to ask magnetism at all. Although they always tend not to ask magnetism at all. So you can have motion, forces, scalars, and vectors, and then you have to be focusing on magnetism. That's not the way. So focus more on the important topics for now. I'll also be making a video on repeated questions. I said repeated topics in physics, biology, chemistry, and rest. Now, another important thing for you to do is solve questions. This cannot be overrated. Now, there are something that you can cover between this short period of time. You use questions to actually tackle them. You solve questions. Now, another important thing is for you to actually attempt those questions in exam condition. Now, don't just go into the exam and that will be the first time that you'll be in that condition of, okay, you have 30 minutes more, you have 1 hour, 30 minutes to solve this question. Make sure that you've practiced questions in that same exam condition. So by the time you get in, you always tend to have more time that way. Also, as I said before, prioritize studying your weak subject. Prioritize it a lot. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't give room for the subject that you are good at too, but then prioritize those above all others. not above all others. Just make sure you make a plan that gives room for all of them. But then the proportion for your weak subjects will be more than that of the subjects that you are very good at. So I think with this, you should be able to do very well within short period of time, and then be honest with yourself. Admission in Nigeria is very competitive, so don't. And when you think maybe you are the best, or probably know that there are people better than you. So with the fact that there's people better than you, the only way you can balance that, or you can counter that, is by working extremely hard and smart as well. So I think with this, you should be able to prepare very well for your exam. So see you guys next time.